Hello, my friends. Today I want to tell you about Don Decker, the real-life Rain Man, and the supernatural events that happened to him in the 80s. In 1983, in Pennsylvania, Don Decker was serving time in jail when he found out that his grandfather had passed away. He was somewhat relieved about this because as a child, his grandfather had actually abused him quite a bit. So he was released from jail for the weekend to attend the funeral. And he was staying at a family friend's house, and he was in a bathroom one night after the funeral of his grandfather, and he got really cold and started to see some weird things in the window. He thought he saw a face, and he also claims that he had some large cuts on his forearms that he wasn't sure how they got there. Then he comes downstairs, and his friends notice that the walls seem to be wet, but there wasn't water dripping down them. The water was dripping up the walls, and the whole entire room started to feel really moist. They started to freak out a little bit, and authorities were called, and the officers that reported to the house also reported that it appeared to be raining inside of the home. Now, later on that weekend, Don Decker would go to a restaurant, and the people in the restaurant noticed that it was essentially raining inside of the restaurant as well, that the walls were just covered in water, and that the floor was just beginning to soak, and the water was literally just coming out of nowhere. Not necessarily falling down, but just in the air. So the restaurant owner calls a holy man to come, and they brought a crucifix near Don Decker, and he felt an extreme amount of heat when this happened. So at the end of the weekend, Don Decker has to go back to jail, and it's at this point that the other prisoners and the guards notice that he is really off, and he seems to be staring in a gaze. And then all of a sudden, the rooms that he's in just start to become soaking wet. Water is in the air. The walls and the floors are just drenched. And some crazy stuff is going on. So they have another priest, a holy man, to come in. And this man comes in and starts to read from a Bible. And everything in the room is just soaking wet except for the Bible. And at this point, the event stops, and since then, Don Decker has never had another paranormal experience like this, leading some people to believe that possibly he was possessed by a demon, perhaps around the time that he went to his abusive grandfather's funeral. What do you guys think?